This is a strife for me.
It does drive me nuts too.
I get really fired up about this one because
if we had a single family detached, literally it would be 3 feet difference.
Ready.
3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to another episode of YQL Real Talk. And today I'm joined by my beautiful wife, Chelsea.
Hi.
I would like to say it's been a while, but we just did the last episode with me. So
Yes.
welcome back.
One thing, I know this is not nearly the first podcast episode that you filmed in this space. This is going to be the 3rd episode, but I wanted to acknowledge how our set is growing, and I think the office is looking really good.
It is. It's not 100% there, but we're getting close.
Yeah, we've only been in here for 2
weeks.
weeks now, so I think given that, we've really been motoring. You may also hear some construction noise in the background, and that's because next door they're working on the final phase of these Prestwick townhouses.
Yes, so we are on Colebrook Gate. Address is 1048 Colebrook Gate, and we're in the commercial residential properties. 10 of them
Available.
are all being built in a row. So we are in the second phase in basically the 6th unit. There's 4 more waiting to get built. So that's the construction that you hear outside.
Yeah.
So in this episode, we are going to be talking about the pros and cons of multifamily versus single family. And there's going to be some stuff in here that maybe you haven't thought of quite yet when it comes to either one of these. So first off, what is multifamily? So multifamily is basically any home, dwelling, or structure. I'm not going to get too detailed here in a Oxford dictionary term, but it's basically any home where you're sharing a part of the home with a neighbor. I'm not sharing the communal space, but if there's a party wall in between, if you're in a duplex, an apartment, a triplex, a townhouse, a duplex, what we're in right now is actually a townhome. So this wall right here is actually shared with the neighbor just to the right of us. Probably the most common one that you'll see in Lethbridge is either a townhome, a duplex, or a fourplex. We don't really have a lot of apartments. There is a few of them, but they're pretty rare. So the pros of a multifamily is that they're usually very affordable, like really good value. There is less maintenance, and utilities are usually could be cheaper.
Yeah. In a scenario like when you're the middle unit, then you have more insulation
Yep.
from like the 2 units on your other side. So
Yep.
your grandparents live in a middle unit, and they say that their utilities are next to nothing because...
Yeah, in the winter, both sides on either side of them are heating their own houses, so it's kind of keeping you warm. And in the summer, they actually both have air conditioning, so that kind of helps out too. And you're not getting like any exposure on either sides. So
when we talk about reduced maintenance too, in theory, if this was a single detached, there would be a fence on this side and a yard on this side and an exterior wall with siding. So if we got hit by hail or something like that, that's one more huge length of the house that would have to be repaired or we'd have to maintain over the course.
Correct.
So now we only have 3 walls to maintain and a smaller yard, a smaller area.
yes and no. So yes, in that case, you would have a smaller yard. But in some places, like we used to live in Wild Rose Estates, which is on the north side of Lethbridge, and we had a huge courtyard that was like shared between the two. It was freaking gorgeous, and that was way bigger than any yard that you would get on your own.
Yes, but that's still reduced maintenance because that's not on us specifically to maintain that.
I know. You just said you have smaller space. So,
Oh, okay.
So
Sorry.
I'm saying that
Sorry.
in some cases, you might even have actually more space, but that space, like you said, you don't have to actually look after, but you do have to pay condo fees, which could be a con, could be a pro that we'll get to in a second. So if you're, for example, like me and you, we're busy. I loved living in a condo because I didn't have to worry about shoveling. We could lock the door and go on vacation. Didn't have to worry about anything on the outside. It was all taken care of. Shoveling, maintenance, yard maintenance is what I meant to say. Anything on the exterior of the place is usually covered. So you need a new roof, you don't have to worry about it. That's something that like the condo board will take care of. So that's usually a big pro, is that they're like less hands-on. So whether you're investing or living there, it's going to be less stress on you working or buying into a townhome or condo complex that you're paying condo fees into. So obviously the cons of them is that you're going to have close neighbors.
This is a strife for me.
It does drive me nuts too.
I get really fired up about this one because
Well, so if you're in Vancouver, Toronto, whatever, no, it's not even going to be a thing. Like, you're going to have neighbors beside you. You just got to work with it. In Lethbridge, everybody wants a single family detached. So nobody wants to have neighbors next to you. Like, we're sharing a wall. But when I think this is probably what you're going to say is, so we're in a townhome. We got a wall next to somebody. If we had a single family detached, literally it would be 3 feet difference.
yes,
Between.
you'd be shifting this whole building over.
Literally 6 feet.
Yes, there'd be an extra 3 feet between me and my fence over here, and I'd be paying how much more to have 3 feet between me and my neighbor?
Probably 30,000.
It doesn't always compute to me, but
It's kind of like, people just like the idea of that. Just like there's lots of people right now, I find, that want to get out of the city. So they're coming to Lethbridge or Southern Alberta, and they're looking at all these small towns and, oh yeah, I just don't want people around. And I want to have my own space and have my own yard and have my own land. Well, you do know that you're like an hour out of town, and it's going to be a real pain in the rear end to go get groceries on a normal day. Like it's a lot of work to take care of a small, like even a small acre, just a lot of work. Like, do you really want to be doing that? I don't know. It's like people have this like really rosy idea of what it's like. So, so cons, close neighbors. Next one, likely smaller yards. But like I said, there are some areas like that one we were just in. It had a huge courtyard in the middle of it with big mature trees. It was beautiful that basically everyone like pulls into to get, right? You wouldn't get that on your own. You're sharing your maintenance with your neighbors. You said that's a con in your outline here.
So when I think about that, if our roof starts to go.
Oh, okay. So yeah. So in this case, we're in a townhome, but we do not pay condo fees. These are all freehold. So if there is a hailstorm, or in, let's say in 20 years, when the roof starts to curl, we need to replace the roof. We can replace our side, but you got to hope that the guy next to you also wants to replace it, so it all looks uniform.
And he doesn't decide to go put green shingles on the roof or leave it so it's decrepit.
Or I can't afford it. You guys just do your own roof, and then he's going to leave his roof. And it's like the same thing if you have a duplex and you're selling your side of the duplex, but you have a really bad neighbor. People always worry that it's going to affect your property value, which it totally could. So that is a con of buying something attached, for sure.
You rely more on your neighbors, right? You have to have more faith in them that they're going to maintain. Yep.
And ideally, everybody works together and everything's fine.
Yes.
But that doesn't always happen. So
yes.
Who knows? The next con is potential for condo fees. So like we just talked about, but the big thing is that condo fees never go down.
Yes.
Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Everything in life gets more expensive.
Exactly. However, I always just looked at it when we lived in the last condo in Wild Rose. I always just looked at it as like a monthly subscription to get your literally everything taken care of. Yeah. So I really didn't mind. Like our condo fees were under $300. Like I said, we got our lawn taken care of, our driveway shoveled in the winter. Didn't have to touch a thing. I used to love working from home, and you'd look outside and the tractors were there pushing snow. It was like the best thing ever. And the yard always looked great. They repainted all the siding when we were there. I didn't have to organize it. I didn't have to stress out about it. It was just done, right? We were on the condo board, which...
No, but my people get very opinionated about condo fees and condo boards, and I don't want somebody telling me how to live my life and how I can have my house.
Which certainly can happen if you have a bad...
Absolutely. But I think our theory was if we wanted a say and we didn't want our condo board to be a part of a condo corporation or something like that, we said, fine then, we'll sit on the condo board if this is a priority enough.
You're not allowed to complain about it if you're not on the condo board.
That's what I think. I think if it's important enough for you to complain about, then you should be trying to have your say in there.
And if your condo board's doing all the right things and putting money where it needs to be, then you should have no problem paying condo fees, right?
Yep.
So, but again, that doesn't always happen, and some condo boards piss money away or don't save it properly or whatever.
Yeah, but your neighbor could do the same thing
just
anywhere.
like governments. The last one is in Lethbridge. We have seen condos, apartments, more apartments specifically, not increase in value. Like if you're going to spend $120,000, I just sold an apartment a couple weeks ago, and I told the client, just be aware that if you're going to sell it, buy it for 120, you're probably going to sell it for 120. Part of that is because you think value goes up over time because it's, an appreciating asset. Usually real estate is, but every time your condo fees increase, it does take off money off of your final sale price for sure.
That makes sense to me. Because someone's looking at the overall cost. What's it going to cost to mortgage it? And if your condo fees are going up, well then for your dollars to make sense.
So it's like if you're looking at a $200,000 condo with a $250, $300 condo fee, you can probably afford a $250,000 house, right? So that's kind of where the trade-off comes in. So then if you're going to go sell it and you bought it for 200 and your condo fees are 200 at the time, you go to sell it and all of a sudden they're 300. Well, again, the same buyer can look at that and be like, well, I can probably afford a $260,000 house now. So yeah. So that's definitely the case for apartments. I've seen it a little bit less on townhomes and condos that have condo fees. Those seem to appreciate a little bit faster. And then this is not the case though for like a suited home, but those because they don't have condo fees, right? So a townhome that doesn't have condo fees, you'll see appreciate faster as well.
Yes.
So again, we're hoping as we bought into these is that the Prestwick units on Coldbrook Gate, we have the commercial space down below, we live above, and there's 3 attached houses right next to it. We don't have condo fees here. They're all freehold. So with that being said, we're hoping that they are going to appreciate, right?
I think so.
Okay. Well, just to summarize multifamily a little bit more, basically, in my opinion, if you're busy or maybe you're getting older and you just don't want to take care of, you don't have to be older. If you just don't want to take care of.
So you're associating multifamily with having condo fees right now. And that's not always the case.
90% of the time it is.
No, it's not. Not with duplexes, not with these.
No, true.
Not with like all the rows of townhouses that are by Lakey over there. That's like not the case. And if anything, I think I'd want to break that. I think the people in Lethbridge, the golden standard is to have a single detached family house. There's plenty of them to pick from and there's a wide price range. So that's always been the golden standard. And I think people moving from these highly densely populated areas to Lethbridge are looking for a space and they're avoiding multifamily. But I think that what they're forgetting is that already the way that our city is structured, you're not going to feel like you're on top of your neighbors all the time. You're not going to feel like you're constantly surrounded by people, despite living in a duplex, despite living in a townhouse.
Well, correct. So again, I'm just going to recap this one more time. If you're looking for lower maintenance, if you don't want to look after a yard or exterior maintenance or anything like that, you want all that kind of stuff taken care of. Like if you're busy, if you're older, whatever it is, then maybe look for a condo or townhome that does have condo fees, that doesn't have condo associations that looking after all that kind of stuff. If you can still find a townhome, condo, duplex, whatever, that doesn't have these condo fees, but it's still going to be less maintenance than than a detached home, right?
It should be less maintenance and less expensive. And God forbid you have to share one wall with a neighbor.
Yeah, and it's fine.
We've actually had lots of experience in both settings now, living in a single detached family house. And
ever since we bought our first house, we had detached houses, but they were all suited. So we've always had somebody living either above or below us. And it's kind of easy with us because we don't have kids or anything, right? So
we recently moved to a single detached family house. And we were kind of like, it's not everything that it's cracked up to be. I don't know why.
Been there, done that. It really didn't change much other than you could play the music a little bit louder, I guess.
No, even then.
So next is single family. So like Chelsea just said, the single family house seems to be like the dream of everybody. You got to have your own single family detached house with a yard and white picket fence, which is fine if that's what you're looking for. So we'll talk about the pros. So the pros of them for sure is that they're going to increase value more than a attached home that has condo fees. If they don't have condo fees, it's a different story. Like a duplex is going to appreciate if there's no condo fees, which there usually isn't. But yes, they are going to appreciate more in value for sure. And yeah, with this, I guess you are less dependent on your neighbors influencing the value of your home. Like we said with a duplex, if you have a really bad neighbor, but it still can affect you if you have a bad neighbor next door.
Yes.
Like is it less? I don't know.
I
if somebody says in your duplex, well, my neighbor's horrible. He's loud all the time. They're partying constantly. Well, somebody's going to complain just as much if it's a single family home next to you that's a rental that's full with university kids that are partying up to the crack of dawn too. So really, I don't know if that's a pro or con between duplex or a home. Like, I don't think it really matters. It's probably going to affect you just the same. I just want to get rid of that con for the duplex is what I'm saying. Because really, if you buy a single family home, it's probably just as much of a con.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Next is yard size. So this does vary quite a bit because you'll notice with new developments, you get brand new homes and they're gorgeous, but the lots keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller, obviously, because they need to build more homes. So if you do go to a bit of an older home, you will get a larger yard.
But the variety is there. If you decide, if you want a single detached family house and you want to have a small yard, those exist all over the place. If you want to have a big yard, those exist all over the place. There's just a good variety to choose from.
True.
With single detached houses, Lethbridge has had a lot of land where we've been able to build out, and we don't necessarily have to build up with tons of apartment buildings, which has not been the case for many bigger cities. So there is just a huge variety of single detached family homes in the city. There's tons to choose from. So if you're shopping for a resale home, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, there should be something to fit most budgets. And depending on what your wish list is, if you want an old character house, if you want something newly built, those exist all over the place with a single detached.
Yeah, the same could be said about townhomes and apartments though. No?
Well, less so with apartments. There's one yes, brand new apartment building coming.
But townhomes and
yes,
and that sort of thing too. But yeah, if you want to be anywhere in Lethbridge, you're going to be able to find a house in that area for sure. Right. Number 4 is your neighbors are not so close to you as attached, like we talked about. So obviously this is a big pro. Like I kind of mentioned earlier, there's a ton of clients moving from BC and Ontario that are from these really dense populated areas, and they want to come out here and have land. It's just, it's like a buzzword, right? To have land. Like, does it really make a difference in your day-to-day life that there's a lawn in between you and your next house? Probably not.
No,
if you're moving out to the city or moving out of the city, like onto an acreage, then I can see the kind of appeal. But just be aware that there's a lot more work than your average single family detached home.
No, I think that people romanticize the idea of having a couple acres and they don't realize what's actually involved. And when you start to have conversations with them and you dig into what they're really looking for out of a house, they just don't want to feel cramped in. They don't want to feel claustrophobic anymore.
Yeah, and I think the city does a good job of that to begin with, because we are very spread out and it's not dense here at all.
No.
Right? But yeah, you do get your own space in your own yard, but there's still neighbors.
Yeah, absolutely.
It does. The one thing that drives me nuts is going to a house with clients and we're in a neighborhood and we go to the backyard and like, oh, there's so many neighbors. Well, yeah, we're in Copperwood.
Yeah, we're in like the middle of the city. Like we're still in the middle of the city, you guys.
Yeah, if you want that, then we got to up the budget and go look at an acreage.
You know what's actually funny too? When you live in suburbia, there seems to be this push where like you want your privacy. You don't want to be bothered by your neighbors. You want this like privacy, like I said. And then you move somewhere rural where there's acres between you and your neighbor. And now all of a sudden you rely more on your neighbor. You rely on that sense of community, somebody to watch your
you get
property.
lonely.
Yeah. It's so weird that
Sounds like we really hate single family detached homes. That's not the case.
That's not the case whatsoever.
I think both of us want to change what people are thinking about attached properties.
Yes.
Because they can be great.
Yes.
Right? And people just hate them for some reason. I always find, I don't know. Not everybody, but
it's like misplaced judgment.
I just think, the single family detached homes are really hyped up, and the attached properties are really talked down upon. So we just want to level it out. They both can be good. It always depends on your lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
So the cons of a detached home is that usually they're more expensive. Mm-hmm. Actually, that's pretty well guaranteed. They're going to be more expensive. And the more things you have on your wish list, the more expensive the property is probably going to be. And of course, there is more maintenance. So literally, it doesn't matter what happens to your house, it's coming out of your pocket, whether it's outside, inside, around, everything.
And there's nothing shared to bring the cost down.
Yeah. So even we're in a townhome right now. Again, there's no condo fees, so we're on the hook for everything. Mm-hmm. You know how much a fence costs? A fence is getting built right now. It's like $10,000. It's crazy.
Yes.
Rather pay the $300 condo fee right now and
Yes.
have somebody else do it. Have everybody pitch in. We'll all get a fence.
Yes.
So yeah, it is definitely more expensive. But again, it's more expensive. So hopefully the money you're putting into your house, if you're doing it smart, you will get your money out of it eventually.
Yep.
So that's good. Another pro to that con. The other part when it comes to maintenance is that you don't have, well, I kind of just touched on this. You don't have a condo board that's telling you, no, we're looking at cons. Mm-hmm. So we don't have a condo board that's taking care of your exterior, your snow removal, making sure the whole block looks good.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all basically up to you and your neighbors, up to them to make sure your neighbors taking care of their property just as much as you're taking your property, so that the whole block increases the value.
Yep.
So really, it doesn't matter if you're an attached or detached. You need you're reliant on your neighbors to upkeep everything so that everybody's value goes up. So in summary, whether you're looking at a detached or attached, it's just important to know the differences of the pros and cons of each so that you know what you're getting into. It doesn't matter to me which one you buy, it's going to matter more to you. So basically, you need to rely on yourself and whichever is the best for your lifestyle and your family to find which type of property is best for you. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys like this video and want to see more, please subscribe, whether you're listening as a podcast, as a video on YouTube. On my YouTube channel, I do property tours all around Lethbridge, as well as more informational videos and podcasts about Lethbridge, just like this. So thank you guys so much, and we'll see you in the next one.